Now we're going to go over the N400 part. We're going to do part 1 to part 4. Part 1 is all about information about your eligibility. Remember, to become a U.S. citizen, you need to be at least 18 years of age if you are going through the interview. And you need to be a lawful permanent resident. With this question, with A, you are at least 18 years of age and have been a lawful permanent resident of the United States for at least 5 years. They want to know if you are becoming a naturalized citizen because you have been a permanent resident for at least 5 years. They also want to know, if you go to B, if you are at least 18 years of age and have been a lawful permanent resident of the United States for at least 3 years, and you have been married and living with the same U.S. citizen spouse for the last 3 years, and your spouse has been a U.S. citizen for the last 3 years at the time you filed your Form N400. So this one, A, is if you've been a permanent resident for the last 5 years. And B is if you are married to a U.S. citizen. C is if you are married to a U.S. citizen, but the U.S. citizen lives outside of the United States. It says, are a lawful permanent resident of the United States, and you are the spouse of a U.S. citizen, and your U.S. citizen spouse is regularly engaged in specific employment abroad. If your residential address is outside of the United States and you are filing under Section 319B, select the USCIS field office from the list below where you would like to have your naturalization interview. And then people who are part of the military could also apply, and that's in D. If there are other reasons why you are becoming a U.S. citizen, you can go to E. And these are the possible questions the officer could ask you. Are you at least 18 years old? Have you been a lawful permanent resident of the United States for at least 3 years? Have you been a lawful permanent resident of the United States for at least 5 years? Is your application based on a marriage to a citizen? How many years have you been a permanent resident? Is your spouse a citizen? What is your alien number? Your alien number and your USCIS number are the same. This is the number in your green card. What is the number in your green card? We're going to go over part 2 as well. These are the vocabulary words you should know for your interview. Current means now. Legal, that is lawful, that you are following the law. Family name, last name, and surname are apellidos. Given name, the name that was given for you from your parents, like Natalie, Andrea. Middle name would be if you have a second name. In English, you call it middle name. Maiden name is your last name before you were married. This is especially for women. Change, gender. Gender is male or female. Date, date of birth, and country. Let's go over the questions on part 2. Number 1, what is your current legal name? Your legal name is the name in your birth certificate unless you change your name legally or you change your name, meaning your last name, when you married. Sometimes your current legal name is different than the name in your green card. Please take a look at number 2. Number 2 says, what is your name exactly as it appears on your permanent resident card? You need to write your name exactly as it appears on your card. Sometimes that name looks different than your actual current legal name. Number 3, other names you have used since birth include nicknames, aliases, and maiden name if applicable. For example, some women have changed their names after they married. Here in current legal name, some women will have the last name of their husbands. But here in number 3, they should include their maiden name, meaning the last name of their parents. Question number 4. Would you like to legally change your name? For example, if your name is, I'm going to use my name as an example, Natalie Agudelo, and you want to change your name to Natalie Tamayo, you can do it. You will have to say, yes, I would like to legally change my name, and then provide the new name you want to use. If you would like to change your name, this is a great opportunity because you don't have to pay to change your name. They're also going to ask you for your social security number and your USCIS online account number. When you apply to become a US citizen, you will receive a letter asking you to create an online account number. You can include the account number in your N400 or not. That's optional. They will ask you what is your gender, if it's male or female, your date of birth. Remember, always put the month first, then the date, then the year. And you should look in your green card to see when you became a permanent resident, because that is one of the questions. They will ask you, when did you become a lawful permanent resident? They will also ask you what is your country of birth and what is your country of nationality. They might ask you if you have any disabilities or impairments that prevents you from demonstrating knowledge and understanding of English. During the interview, they might not ask you this question, but you need to fill this question out in the N400. If you do have any disability that prevents you for demonstrating knowledge of English or the civics questions, you need to fill out this form, Form N648. Many of you are aware, but or not, that there are exceptions to taking the test or the interview in English. You could take the interview in your native language if you are 50 years of age or older and you have been a lawful permanent resident for at least 20 years. Or if you are 55 years old and you have been a lawful permanent resident for at least 15 years. In addition, if you are 65 years of age and you have been a lawful permanent resident for at least 20 years. This could be the questions they ask you for part 2. What is your current legal name? What is your name as it appears on your permanent resident card? What is your last name? What is your family name? What is your given name? What is your first name? Have you ever used any other names since birth? Do you want to legally change your name? What is your date of birth? When is your birthday? When did you become a permanent resident? What is the date you became a permanent resident? What is your country of birth? Where were you born? What is your gender? What is your nationality? And what is your social security number? Now we're gonna go over part 3. For part 3, the majority of cases they will not ask you these questions, but you need to answer these questions on your N400. They want to know if you are deaf, or if you're blind, or if you need a wheelchair. These are the questions that they might ask. Are you requesting an accommodation because of your disabilities and or impairments? Yes or no? If you're deaf, you should check here in A, because it says, I am deaf or hard of hearing and request the following accommodation. Then you will write here the accommodation, an interpreter or someone that speaks sign language. Or if you are blind, you can go here to B. I am blind or have low vision and request the following accommodations. And then C, have another type of disability and or impairment, like you need a wheelchair because you can't walk. Are you requesting an accommodation to the naturalization process because of a disability or impairment? And the final question, which is easy and you will be able to do it, is information to contact you. They will ask you your daytime telephone number, evening phone number, work phone number, mobile phone number. Nowadays, most people use their cell phones. So if they ask you what is your phone number, you can give them your cell phone. For your email address, remember, this symbol in English is called at. At. And the end of emails is .com. .com. So for example, my email will be, well, in my case, it's .org. Natalie.agudelo at maketheroadnewyork.org. And a question they might ask you is, what is your phone number? Or what is your email?